We got a lot to get to today. Cam, I'm putting you guys to work. Well, maybe you guys, because we haven't seen PJ yet. He might be showing up at some point.
I think he's eating.
Like he's in the building.
I
You
mean,
think
it's not wrong.
you think my man just lost track of time,
Well, there's nothing wrong. Segment 2. There's nothing wrong with that.
or like
Better late than never.
halfway through segment 1?
I mean, that's fine too. Just pop him up, grab a mic, and he's good to go.
All right. So whenever PJ shows up, we're gonna try to fix some things today. The NCAA, we knew it was coming. They announced a statement. Actually, Jerry Moorhead, University of Georgia president, the chairman of that committee, released a statement saying they're going to do a study into NIL and how it could be negatively, like quote, negatively impacting the student athlete experience. And so that should be coming out in April, with findings coming out in June. And kind of what we were talking about last week, could we potentially see some guide rails on NIL? Because right now it's the Wild Wild West. So we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Also, a very underwhelming All-Star weekend, I would say. A tough weekend for the NBA. A lot of dunks missed in the dunk contest. So we're going to talk about how you could potentially fix that. Because I think the signature event now of All-Star weekend is the dunk contest, and that was rough.
Yeah, it was the worst dunk contest I've seen ever.
Right.
Yeah, it was bad. I think it was more missed dunks than made dunks. So I mean, it was bad.
So we're gonna talk about how you could potentially fix that. But I want to start here because I find Twitter spats extremely interesting, because there's a whole lot of keyboard warriors out there. A lot of people who like to say things behind cartoon profile pictures and fake names and call people out. But also some people that like, Jeff Garcia prior to the NFC Championship, that just kind of stick their foot in their mouth and then double down on it. Did you guys see what happened between the Alcho brothers and Doug Gottlieb?
No.
Okay, so here we go. Let's just dive into it. Fox Sports Radio analyst, one and all, Sam Alcho was asked to rank his top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL following the Super Bowl. His list did not include Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, that's wild.
Which, I mean, Cam's face is what most people's face would be. I think most people's list, especially since Tom Brady is now retired, would immediately start with Patrick Mahomes, and then you would kind of shuffle the 4 around, who you could argue, like a Joe Burrow, maybe is he making a name for himself in the top 5 now that Brady has retired, Aaron Rodgers and those guys, right? But I think any list starts with Patrick Mahomes. Sam Alcho, not the case. Not even in the top 5 for him. And so Doug Gottlieb takes to Twitter and he says, if you don't think Pat Mahomes is one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in football, you probably shouldn't talk about football for a living, or to friends, or strangers. So kind of tongue-in-cheek, kind of just a funny statement, right? But I think if you just read the second sentence, you probably shouldn't talk about football.
No, I mean, I like the statement. That's something I would say to my friends. Like,
yeah, it's just smack talk.
Yeah, it's smack talk, but I'm sorry, it's the absolute truth. Like,
right.
I know everybody's not a fan of Mahomes. I know some people that don't like him, but come on, like Patrick Mahomes is easily top 5. He's top 3.
So
easily.
A lot of people took that very literally, and they were like, "Oh wow, Doug Gottlieb is calling for Sam Alcho's job." Like it's like, it's, to me, I kind of took it as what you said, where it's just like, if you say something that wild, it's like, dude, get out. Like you can't say stuff that wild, right? So it's like, I kind of took it that way, but a lot of people took it very literally. So Emmanuel Alcho, Sam Alcho's brother, takes to Twitter and says, "You got a real slick mouth for being a backup on the court and on television. You got to pick a struggle."
I don't understand the sensitivity when it comes to sports. That's one reason why I don't talk to a lot of people about sports anymore. Everybody is so sensitive. I mean, it's a joke. You shouldn't. Like, if you guys came in here and said Kobe Bryant is a top 5, basketball player, I'd be like, yeah, you shouldn't be talking basketball. Like, you shouldn't be talking basketball.
Yeah, if you came in here and we were like, hey, who's one of the top 5 players of all time? Like, Kobe's not. It's like,
yeah, I'd be like, okay, well, you don't need to talk
Michael
basketball.
Michael Jordan, not one of the top 5 basketball
But
players.
It's nothing personal, though. It's kind of like just smack talking and just being funny, which is it's also being real. But I mean, I've noticed that lately, people are very sensitive when it comes to sports. Like, they're out there playing the sport right now. So
right. Okay. So just to continue, because this is not where it stops. Doug Gottlieb fires back. When you have no defense for your brother's indefensible take, you go at the messenger. And to be fair to him, Emmanuel Alcho offered no retort or reasoning behind his brother's take. It was all kind of personal attacks against Doug Gottlieb.
Yeah.
All right. So that
let's call it like it is too. Like I agree with you guys absolutely with the keyboard warrior thing and everything like that about everyone that was getting offended that it's like not Emmanuel Alcho. Emmanuel Alcho is doing something that we like to call brother rage.
I was
right?
going to say, because this happens to me weekly, where I don't want to say go at it with PJ, but we have disagreements and we kind of poke at each other. And I got a text message from PJ's brother saying, "I will."
I don't think it's ever been like that clear, but he does come to defend. But at the same time, like, you're exactly right. Emmanuel Alcho had, and that's why I call it brother rage. It's very clear because, again, he had nothing to say about the Patrick Mahomes take. It was just, I'm going to call you out and say bad things about you because you jokingly said something bad about my brother. Like,
sure.
So I'm with you there.
All right, so Emmanuel Alcho comes back and kind of goes full scorched earth on him. He says, "My brother's take was trash, but so was your career as a pro athlete and on-air personality." It continues. "So we can agree there is trash all around. You keep talking slick on Twitter like you somebody. Ask at Colin Cowherd to take a day off so you can get some airtime again."
What?
Daggum.
I mean, it should never get that personal. I mean, had he said, you shouldn't talk football anymore, we need to call NFL Live or ESPN, whoever you're with, to fire you, then that's okay. Then you do that. But I mean, he's doing personal jabs. It's still sports at the end. None of y'all are playing. It's still sports. We're talking and discussing sports. I just never got into personal jabs with people when it talks to sports. Oh, you think you know more? Bro, it's sports. Come back with something better. That's why I tell people.
So Doug Gottlieb now responds. This is outstanding. Not the response, just this entire situation is outstanding. Doug Gottlieb comes back and responds, and he says, "What a shortened version of Richard."
Yeah.
All right. What a shortened version of Richard. Thanks for showing your true colors.
Right.
Yeah. That is
all
true.
Right. So,
that is true.
And again, I don't know that Doug Gottlieb's in the right. I think he could have maybe phrased, "You shouldn't be talking about this for a living," a little bit differently. But Emmanuel Alcho, again, taking this way past where it needed to go, says, "I'll take and deliver a bullet for my brother. Don't come for us unless we sin for you. Have a good evening, my friend."
It's not.
We're talking about a stupid list on a stupid sports talk show.
Yep.
About just a stupid, irrelevant conversation.
They're talking as if they're like mobsters or something like that. Like they're going out there doing some illegal thing. It's sports. It's sports at the end of the day.
Just calm down.
I can't stand when people do that.
Bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. Everybody's a little bit too sensitive, like nowadays. But let's, and that's coming. Like, I'm a sensitive dude, so like me saying that's pretty big. So, but at the same time, like, this is a guy that, like, you're all hanging out, having a good time, whatever, and you jokingly say, like you said, you jokingly say something to your boy, and he just flips. And it's just
okay. So this is where I wanted to go next.
And then you look at him, and he looks back at you, and it's like, yeah, I think we're just gonna leave now because you just ruined everything.
No, but how many times were we talking about like Trevor Siemian? Because Cody's like, I believe he's a franchise quarterback, and we all just would pile on, and then it gets personal, and all of a sudden you're screaming at each other. It's like sports are so stupid.
I have friends like that. Friends that do that. I give them one shot, they do it again. I'm like, we're not talking anymore about sports. Obviously, it's a too touchy and a sensitive subject to you. I'm good to go. You should be able to talk sports with friends, move past it, argue, whatever. You have your personal opinions, but when it gets personal, you gotta move past that.
That's
like,
just
it's
like
sports.
Yeah,
man.
that's like if you said something that was just like you said something about Stetson Bennett or whatever, and I was like, man.
First of all, I would never.
I know. It's just like, man, get out of here. That's ridiculous. And then you literally were like, yeah, you're right, and then just left. Like that's not like that's basically what happened here. Like, your list is ridiculous. Get out of here with that.
Who would do
and then
that, you know who is the person who will do that the most though? Like if
I can't wait to hear.
If we said that exact statement, if we said, bro, if you say something like that, you probably shouldn't be talking about sports for a living. Just as a tongue-in-cheek joke, Kevin would leave.
Once you said it, I was like, it's gonna be Kevin.
Lord. Kevin would leave in a heartbeat. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do that today.
Do it.
Yeah, I mean, you should.
I'm gonna do that today.
Hasn't it happened in the past already?
I'm going to. Oh, Kevin has left the show already before. But like, if you disagree with him and you like, if you try to take it, just like if you try to elevate the conversation, or a word I learned from the Olympics, right? The amplitude of the conversation, because when they're doing the half pipe, they don't call it the altitude or the air, they call it the amplitude of how high they got up there. If you increase the amplitude on the conversation, Kevin's just like, all right, fine, whatever.
I think that's just the beauty about sports talk.
He will not argue back with you. He will not argue back.
I think the beauty of sports talk is kind of like arguing, debating, because both people are getting their sides out. Like, we watch it every day. We do it every day.
See, I talk too much to allow you guys to do that. I apologize.
I don't really matter. It doesn't really matter to me.
This is your show. I mean, like, you talk as much as you want, man.
This is
your
show.
I mean, is it not? I mean, like, we're just kind of here, dude. You let us talk, so like that's fine.
Yeah, man, but I trust me, I have friends that watch the show, and I have friends in general, like they know who they are. They do the exact same thing. You talk sports, they get sensitive. That's why I don't say anything anymore.
Well, we used to be able to have a conversation like as a country, but now it's like
it's too sensitive.
You can't hardly talk about anything.
You can't. You can't. If I go on Twitter and I'm like, oh man, LeBron James isn't the GOAT for hitting the game-winning shot last night, people are calling me a hater, and you just, oh my gosh, you don't appreciate greatness.
We talked about you used a couple of different examples here, right? Like, you talked about Kobe Bryant. You just brought up LeBron James. How many people would not have been able to have the conversation that we had last week on this show that us three had about LeBron and Kobe and MJ?
It would have been
over in a heartbeat.
People get sensitive over that. The top 5 quarterbacks, I always go with Aaron. I know people go with Mahomes. Some go with Brady. People get sensitive over that. I've never understood it. It's
who the greatest arguer we've ever had at this company was? You never worked with him, Cam.
There's been some good ones.
Jim.
Yeah.
Jim Johnson, because PJ, reason is PJ's going, it's because he knows Jim would not even believe in what he was arguing about.
But he'll argue.
He would argue it just to piss you off.
Yeah, it's guys like that.
But I mean, that's the thing.
But he would bring facts, and so you'd be like, oh.
Dang it.
See, I enjoyed those types of conversations and
but
arguments.
There's a few times.
No. I get where you're. Hold on. Let me finish.
PJ, and I even did. He gets you emotional because you get mad at how right he is.
Well, you get mad at how like annoying and just because there's stuff that was nonchalant that like he would do, and like you said, when you could tell, this is the thing that gets me. If he was like passionate and like being honest about something and like had stats to back it up, like you said, and was right about it, I'd be like, dang, I just learned something. That's great. The thing that get me annoyed with Jim and with BJ is when you know that they don't care about it and that they're just continuing to continue and they don't really have a point. They're just doing it to do it.
I'm not going to say
that's
this
what's
about.
annoying.
I had to leave one time because BJ was doing that about something and just being the shortened version of Richard. And I had to leave because it was going to go sideways if I had stayed. And he had to call me later. He's like, "Hey, I just want you to know I was kind of being a jerk just to be a jerk. I'm sorry." I'll give BJ credit. He will call you and apologize about this.
Good.
But love some good arguments.
Nah, I love arguments. Like, I've had instances where somebody's an Ohio State fan and they're out of the playoffs, then they're rooting for Alabama against Georgia, just talking smack. It's just annoying. But I don't get sensitive over it. I laugh, but I'll debate it though.
Yeah,
I'll debate it. It's no reason.
The only reason I brought this up is Mario.
Oh my god!
If me and PJ start going at it, I can't have you threatening me via text message every time me and PJ disagree.
I don't know how many threats you've got. I think that
they're implied.
The biggest one was like, what was it? Ndamukong Suh? I think Ndamukong Suh got threatened.
He was upset about that. He was very upset about that conversation.
I mean, no, you're right. But when it's about sports, when it's about sports, it's got to be about sports, man. And the moment it comes into like who you are as a person, your accomplishments and all that, like calm down, dude. Calm down. Yeah. You got also.
He went all
I get that, like.
My brother, I have a little brother. If he made a list of the top NFL quarterbacks and Patrick Mahomes wasn't in the top 5, I would be joining Doug Gottlieb.
Oh, for sure.
And cooking him.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, if
flame broiled,
come on, man. Let's be real. Like, if you don't have Mahomes in your top 5, you deserve to get. You deserve to get
toasted, roasted.
Shamed.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a good word we can use on air. You deserve to get just shamed.
We call you.
I'm gonna put it like that. Yeah,
you go. Yeah.
drug test. We can drug test.
Not getting drug tested, like getting drugged. Like you're
Oh,
like,
drug. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Well, we
like,
can do both. We can do
yeah,
all of this. We can do all of this
Yeah.
because how's Mahomes not a top 5 quarterback?
like that's my favorite
I don't
quote
know.
tweet now on Twitter is somebody will say something wild and then the first quote tweet's like you're about to
So,
get
Who was
drugged.
his list though?
We could
Do-
probably
do you
pull it
know?
up.
Yeah, I want to see.
I
I
don't
want to
think
see
anybody
his list.
actually like looked. I think it was more just like he said what and he
I
didn't
want to
have
see
who?
his list because
It's gotta be
somebody's
like- It's
Okay.
got to be like full meme list, like
a Herbert
Jared
in
Goff's
there or
up there,
something.
number
Well,
one.
let's do this. So we're gonna plan that I am at some point going to look at Kevin and say, you probably shouldn't talk about blank for a living.
Yeah.
Just cut off one of his takes. I'm gonna try to find somewhere in the show today to do that, just to see if Kevin leaves.
Right. Good.
And then we have to come back. We have to try to fix a couple things. But in the break, we'll look up what Sam Alcho's top 5 list was.
Cool.
That's the thing too. Like you see all this stuff, whatever, and I'm thinking, I'm like, I like all those guys. Like they all have really good takes about a lot of different stuff. But like that's wild. Like that's too much, man.
I will say this: it is
I'm
a
trying to
very
see
entertaining show.
I'm trying to see who he could put. Like
The
in his
Alcho
top
brothers,
5.
they do a very good job.
Yeah, for everything I see them on, they're
They just
incredible.
not great with quarterback lists.
Yeah, not great with quarterback lists, and not
But
great with
listen,
with taking semi sarcasm, right? Like, yeah.
Well, like I said, Doug, I don't think there is a correct side in this. I just think it was everybody stuck their own collective foot in their mouth. And Twitter, it's beautiful. Screenshots, it's there forever. Gotta love the internet. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We're going to fix some things next right here on Second Down. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Christian Gokel alongside PJ Zuko and Cam Ursery. All right, we're going to do it. Sports Talk Radio Show. Top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now. I'm going to give you guys a chance to think about it, maybe talk it out a little bit. But I think what's going to surprise a lot of people is how young this top 5 list probably is.
It's a mixture of old and young.
Because we can't sit here and crap on Sam Alcho's list without bringing our own.
No, that's true. I think it's a mixture of old and young, though. Because I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. I know you have Rodgers in your top 5. And Stafford cracks mine as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I had to go 1 through 5.
All right, hold on. We have the sounds for it.
Okay, cool. If I had to go,
are we going 5 through 1?
we go 5 through 1.
Or 1 through 5?
Okay. We go 5 through 1.
All right. No, Cam Ursery's number 5 quarterback in the NFL is
Joe Burrow. Yep. I would go Joe Burrow. I think he had a great year. Still has a little bit more to prove, but I would go Joe Burrow.
All right. Who's number 4?
Oh man. This is tough for me. I would actually go Stafford.
Wow.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford. I mean,
why Stafford? Stafford over who? Like, who didn't make the list? Or is that a spoiler alert? That's a spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah,
right,
spoiler alert. I think Stafford deserves it. He's defending champion.
One year out
Nice
of
team.
Detroit, and he wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah, nice. I can't catapult him in the top 3. It's been 1 year.
Okay.
But these next 3 guys have done it well. Number 3, I got, Josh Allen.
Oh, God.
Oh, gosh.
There we go.
Yes, Josh Allen. He's had a great year. I think had he beat Mahomes, they may have had a better chance to possibly beat Cincinnati, the AFC Championship. Probably see them in the Super Bowl, and they win it. Love Josh Allen.
All right, so
Improve this game.
Your number 2 quarterback is?
Patrick Mahomes. He had a good year, but he struggled up and down just a little bit. He wasn't great all year, and then blew kind of a 21-3 lead, but everybody makes mistakes, so I'm not going to hold it against him because the number 1 guy, he made a mistake in the playoffs, but reigning MVP, back-to-back MVP, I still think he's the best quarterback. Aaron Rodgers. I think he's still the best quarterback. He doesn't have near as many weapons as the other 4 quarterbacks I just said outside Devontae Adams. Like, he doesn't have what Burrow has on offense, and Rams and Bills and Chiefs. He has the worst weapons out of the 5, but I mean, he still puts up great numbers.
If Tom Brady's not retired, is he still number 1?
Ooh, man.
I mean, the dude just led the league in touchdowns.
I say 1A, 1B. He has a lot of weapons.
Are we talking about best or greatest?
No, best. Like, I mean, what quarterback more than Tom Brady, if you're seeing him in the playoffs, would put more fear in your heart?
Aaron Rodgers.
I would say
what has Aaron Rodgers done in the playoffs?
But I wouldn't say it's Aaron Rodgers' fault in the playoffs.
Exactly.
Outside of this year. Now, this year, I will give you that. But the other years, his team gets up.
His second best tool was a running back, man. I mean, that's my thing is Tom Brady. Yeah, like, you're right. He had one of his best years, if not his best, one of his best statistical years this year for sure. He's got Chris Godwin. He's got Mike Evans down there. I mean, he had Antonio Brown for half the year. Like, dude's got weapon, got Gronk still. Like, he had the
petrified remains of Gronk.
But he had a really good defense, though. Like,
okay, and Matt Stafford didn't.
No. I agree. Yeah, Tom is ahead of Matt Stafford.
The conversation.
But Aaron Rodgers,
that
man, it's bad there. Like, all the NFC championships, it hasn't been his fault. It's bad. Like, his team gets up 30+ points per game in the playoffs.
That's my thing. Is like you said, like every one of those teams and quarterbacks that you mentioned has their own version of Devontae Adams, right? And then
somebody else
and other people to go to. Like,
that is true.
Aaron Rodgers has Devontae Adams and a running back. That's pretty much it.
Valdez, Scantling, and Lazard are not. They're not there. Nah.
So
they can't get open in big games. It's just not happening.
But it's a very relative conversation, right? Like, I'm not saying he's not an amazing quarterback. I'm saying if you had a choice, like which quarterback your team was facing in the playoffs, y'all would choose Brady over Rodgers.
It depends.
Like, it's the same team. You're playing the same team, but you could either face Tom Brady or you could face Aaron Rodgers as
I would love to face freaking Aaron Rodgers because Tom Brady has a better team.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
He's saying
I'm
the same team.
Same
He's saying,
team.
yeah.
Like Tom Brady is the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, or Aaron Rodgers is the starting
Oh,
quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Who would you rather face?
I'd rather face Tom Brady.
You guys are out of your mind.
Yeah, if Tom Brady was on Green Bay, it would be much worse.
You should not talk about sports for a living.
If Tom Brady was on Green Bay, it'd be much worse because that O-line against San Fran, they couldn't block. And only reason why it wasn't as bad because Rodgers could move.
All I'm saying
Brady's a statue. And we've seen that happen in a couple of Super Bowls.
See, here's the thing though. Dan Graziano kind of talked about this for everyone saying like the better weapons that Tom Brady had, he did. But also, if you go by the advanced metrics, he was fitting footballs into windows that we had never seen him fit them into before. Because again, it's Gronk, but it's an older Gronk. And now think about the development just since Gronk's been in the league. 10 years ago, inside linebackers weighed 250 pounds and were basically defensive ends who stood behind the line so they could make tackles against LaDainian Tomlinson, right? Now, inside linebackers weigh 220 pounds and run 4.4s, right? So he's having to fit the football into windows he's never had to before, and he's still doing it. And he still led the NFL with all these guys we're talking about. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, just throwing up all kinds of stupid numbers. Tom Brady in his 40s still led the NFL in touchdowns.
Oh no, I mean, like I said, I would put 1A,
I think
1B.
It's Brady fatigue. I think it's like
Brady fatigue.
I think it's like Bama fatigue, right?
He's the greatest player ever.
You just kind of forget how good he is because he's been doing it for so long. Like, dude played in the Super Bowl in 45% of his career.
And
it's incredible.
I don't understand why people criticize him for losing to the Rams. He went out with a bang.
Yeah, but like he walked off the field with a lead. Yeah. Like he did it again.
He went out with a bang.
Yeah. What was the score? 24-3?
Yeah,
and he brought it all the way back.
Yeah, it ended up being 27-3.
27-3.
Yep, that's what it was. And then he came back and tied it up 27-27.
And that's why, more so than just like looking at them in shorts and like throwing the football around, it's when Tom Brady's had to do it, he's done it time and time again. When Aaron Rodgers has had to do it, more often than not, he comes up short. I mean, you at home, where it's supposed to be home field advantage for you, you put up 10 points against San Francisco.
That's rough.
I mean, yeah, but Brady's done the same thing. Difference is,
but how many times has Tom Brady lost to Jimmy Garoppolo in the playoffs?
He's lost to Eli Manning. Eli Manning in that beef. He only put up 14 points with Randy Moss.
That's the two-time.
Yeah, but I mean, thing is, he only put up 14 points.
Think about the way those teams are structured.
17.
Yeah,
and look at the Super Bowl against Golf and him. Tom Brady didn't even throw a touchdown.
Wait, just to clarify, you guys are saying it's more horrifying to play Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs than Tom Brady.
I think I would be more scared if it was like the same team.
That's what I'm
asking.
Yeah,
because I've never seen Aaron Rodgers' team like a full complete team. When they played the Falcons, they were missing like 15 guys.
No, I think we have, and they went 2-1 Super Bowl.
The one year he had a complete team, he did win the Super Bowl. That is true. Even the NFC Championship with the Legion of Boom, they were up 17-0 against the Legion. You recover the onside kick, you win the game, and they just couldn't recover an onside kick. I remember that game. It's a lot of back. They gave up 300 plus rushing yards against San Fran, and San Fran didn't pass for 3 quarters.
See, to me, Tom Brady's like John Wick. He's the boogeyman.
He's
the Baba Yaga.
Well, he's not Atlanta
I
for
don't
sure.
disagree with it. That's why I haven't really been like coming back at you with any of your takes. Like I agree with 97, like pretty much everything you're saying, because it's all true. Like the advanced metrics and all that stuff, and the freaking linebackers and the windows he had to fit it to. You're right. It's all insane. But like my thing is that I'm not hating on Tom Brady by any means. By not is he the greatest of all time? Yes. But just with the tools, I think, in his passing ability and who he is as a player, Aaron Rodgers is scary as hell to me as a quarterback, but so is Tom Brady.
Okay.
Like, I wouldn't want to face either of them.
Honestly, got a question. When they beat the Falcons in 2016, who was his best weapon on offense? Like, it was Gronk, right? But Gronk was hurt.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean,
but Gronk was hurt.
I'm not saying we were talking about last year. Like, I'm not saying that he's done it with stars his whole career.
You guys are talking about all kinds of years of Aaron Rodgers. So I'm asking, like, was Julian Edelman his best weapon when they beat the Falcons?
Yeah, Gronk and Julian Edelman, right?
Hoyer, they had a really good defense.
Not Hoyer, Hogan.
I mean Hogan.
They had a damn lacrosse.
Exactly. Yeah,
you had a lacrosse.
We forgot his name already.
Like, I mean, if we're talking about if we're talking about Aaron Rodgers having a wide receiver playing running back, okay, let's talk about Tom Brady having a lacrosse player playing wide receiver.
Right.
Julian Edelman is one of the best playoff performers, though. I will give him
But again,
that.
and I'm not taking anything away from Julian Edelman.
Oh, no,
but
I agree.
Is Julian Edelman one of the best playoff performers ever if he's playing for the 49ers?
That's why, yeah.
Or is
That's
he one
what
of
I
the best
say.
playoff performers ever because he was Tom Brady's slot receiver?
And that's what I say about
literally,
Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, he
I say
literally
that about
just
a lot
filled
of
in
guys.
for Wes Welker.
No, I agree. I say that about Jordy Nelson when they say Jordy Nelson was so elite. What did he do after Rodgers? Absolutely nothing. But I mean, I think that 2016 it had a little bit to do with Brady, but it had a lot to do with my Falcons melting down. Just run the football.
I think that's how most fans feel
Just
when their
run
team
the
loses.
football.
All right, let's switch gears here real quick. Cam, how do we fix the dunk contest? Because that was atrocious. That was bad. That was, for those of you who didn't watch, I mean, it looked like you were watching like a bunch of dudes try to dunk at your local LA Fitness. Like it was bad. And for whatever reason, not even the best players in the league, the best dunkers in the league won't come.
They won't come.
Like Aaron Gordon won't come.
Well, they robbed him.
There's
twice.
a good reason for
yeah.
him.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, but
least.
he's like pretty clearly maybe outside of Giannis, because I'm sure Giannis, if he did a dunk contest, could do some silly stuff. But like outside of Giannis, is anybody better than Aaron Gordon?
Levine, John Morant last night. Holy crap!
Oh, exactly, man.
Yeah, I didn't know he could jump. His head was literally at the rim.
We've been
6'2".
completely robbed of, and I'm not saying he would now, but like we've been completely robbed of LeBron James. I'm like, can you imagine him in a dunk contest in like
Westbrook?
08?
Yeah.
Oh my
guys
gosh,
like
Russell
that.
Westbrook.
Okay,
right.
but what's the reward? Like, why would they?
Well, I mean, I don't know why would they. I know it's a prestigious
These
thing.
teams are making
back
like
then.
hundreds of millions of dollars every year.
Because like Kobe, Mike, they won a slam dunk contest. So I was always like, LeBron is that level. I want to see Bron do it one time. Even LeBron put his name in there. He's gonna win off a name. We all like it's LeBron. But to fix it, what you should do is those guys that you see on YouTube doing those crazy dunks, you get about 4 or 5 of those guys. You get a sponsor. The winner gets $1 million. The second place guys get $500,000, and then you cut down the prices, and that's gonna bring guys to come out and they want to like dunk and put on a show. NBA guys, it's a different culture now. They're too cool.
Mm-hmm.
They're just too cool. They don't want to come out there and do it anymore. So you got to understand that. Go get some guys off the street.
And
they're
like,
gonna do it.
There's absolutely, and there's so many other things. Like I was listening to some. There's so many other things outside of the basketball court nowadays that like basketball players are interested in and invested in and things like that. I get also, I think the main excuse you always hear is I don't want to get myself injured. Like I want and whatever.
But you still play a full regulation game.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But this is the main thing with me is like you talked about Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, and what I feel like at least was a little bit with them, there was something to win. Yeah. So they went out and they won it. Like that's how competitive those guys were. And even if it was
our conversation last week,
right? And if it was only once, like I mean, a Blake Griffin, where like he goes out, he wins it, and he's kind of like, all right,
Kobe won it at 18. I think Mike won it at 21 or 22.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It was something to go out there and do, and something to win. Like obviously, we've seen LeBron James and other people. It's just like they don't have that edge to them right now, and it's just like, okay, yeah, it's the dunk contest, it's whatever. I'll enjoy it from afar, but I don't want to get myself hurt.
It sucks. Like
it does.
Because LeBron is that one guy.
I mean, would you argue with me if I said LeBron probably, like just in terms of ability, might be the best dunker ever?
Oh man, Vince Carter.
Vince was filthy, but like also like LeBron's what 5-6 inches taller than him.
Yeah, it's a cut. You could say
Vince can jump out of the building. Like he has some of the greatest dunks of all time, even in game. Like the Olympics dunk, might be the most iconic dunk outside of Jordan's dunk
ever. Yeah,
right. But it's just LeBron in terms of his ability. Like some of the things he threw down, like in the run of play with the Heat.
You know what separates him though is he puts a lot of power.
It's
behind
violent.
it. Yeah,
it's violent.
It's like. He doesn't have to jump as high as everybody, but when it's violent, it's a different type of dunk.
And to be fair to the guys who were dunking last night, I think that was half of the problem is every dunk that's ever been done has been done. Yeah. Right? Like it's like any dunk that you can think of, it's been done before. And so what do you have to do now? You have to make it more violent and faster and more explosive. And so you could tell last night they were missing some of those and the ball was like ricocheting into the front row because they were just trying to throw it down so hard.
Maybe they were having too much to drink the night before.
Wow.
Maybe
I'm just saying.
If
you look, all those guys that were dunking, they're under the age of 25. Maybe they just some of them are not. Jalen Green's 19, Cole Anthony's 20. Maybe they was partying, enjoying the
drinking.
I guess they was enjoying they was enjoying the nightlife. Man, I mean, they're in different locations. You come to Cleveland, You don't have to play. Some of your team, Cole Anthony's on the worst team, Jalen Green's on the second worst team, and Obi Toppin's for the Knicks. You want to
I mean,
party?
maybe
And
they
hold
just
on.
stayed up playing 2K too late. Jeez.
Well, that's true though. And let's a
Doing
little
that
a little bit
nightlife.
of a little bit of a throwback here. What else is there to do in Cleveland?
There you go. It's not too much to do in Cleveland, but,
All right, so
but
just to
have
recap,
fun.
the last few minutes, Cam is accusing NBA players of underage drinking, and PJ is just taking pot shots at the city of Cleveland. All right, we're just going to let y'all marinate in that for a minute. We'll come back. This is Second Down on ESPN Radio. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by The Uniform Source. Has some college football news to get to here. Kentucky, one of the programs I think going into 2022 has an argument, I'd say, with Tennessee for the top contender, right, in the SEC East. Georgia's still the dominant factor there in the SEC East. Alabama, obviously, in the SEC West. But we're looking at top contenders. I think Kentucky probably has as good of an argument as anybody to be the top contender in the SEC East. Think back the last couple of years, they've been playing Georgia in the final, or I should say last 3 years, because Florida won it a couple years ago. But they've had a game late in the season where they've been playing Georgia for the lead in the SEC East, which is wild to think. I mean, 2019, when Georgia's going up to Kentucky and playing them in Kentucky like that, we haven't really seen a scene like that in Commonwealth Stadium where it's packed out and they're playing for everything on the line. Now, Georgia's been able to pull out wins for the most part against Kentucky, but Kentucky's been a really good program. This past year, we saw them start a transition phase, I guess would be the best way of putting it. You get Will Levis in there playing quarterback, slinging the rock around a little bit more efficient than what we've seen. See a Penn State transfer?
Yeah.
Is he still there?
How many schools? Yeah, he's still there. How
Okay.
many schools have Penn State transfers starting at quarter? But that
It's about to be more.
I know. I know
yeah.
the Justin Fields decommit hurt you the most.
Yeah, that being before that was Terrell Pryor.
Dang.
I mean,
Penn State has a long, hard history with quarterbacks.
until he got beat. I mean, that's fine.
But that being said, Kentucky, very good football program. And I think one that's consistently pushing now as a top 15 program in the country, which is wild to think. I mean, just a few years ago, it was like they can't beat Florida. Now they've done it, right? So they're really pushing their way into the upper echelons of the SEC. But I think a potential blow to them here as offensive coordinator Liam Cohen is reportedly taking the same role with the Los Angeles Rams. It's the team he came from, and they brought him over, Stoops did, to kind of install that open pro style or modern day pro style attack now. And again, not as drastic as a change of what we saw with Georgia Tech moving, but Kentucky has been, we're going to pound the rock 70% of the time and then play action, read option with our quarterbacks, and we're going to try to physically beat you. That's what we're going to do. And so it was a kind of a transition year, and I thought going from this year moving into 2022, would you see the biggest jump with this Kentucky offense because you'd have a quarterback second year in the system, OC, who really gets to take control of the offense, but now he's gone.
Yeah.
And I think with that, just depending on who they hire, and it's kind of late in the process now, a lot of dudes have already been locked up. Do you promote from within or do you go out and try to grab somebody? I think this could be a really significant blow in the SEC East race. And to me, that now puts Tennessee as the top contender there in the SEC East.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that. That's what I was about to say. Tennessee, they're bringing Hooker back, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I love his game, and I love what they did last year. And I would go as far as saying my dark horse for second place. Depending on how they put it together, because I know you love Shane Beamer, but South Carolina with Spencer Rattler. It just depends on that schedule.
We sit here and we talk about the quarterbacks and we talk about offensive coordinators and we talk about the game plan and the running backs and the wide receivers. SEC East comes down to how deep are you at the line of scrimmage?
Yeah.
I mean, literally the SEC championship and the national championship was just a bludgeoning at the line of scrimmage. Like Alabama, as much as we want to talk about Jameson Williams and John Mechie cooking Georgia in the SEC championship, Alabama's offensive line dominated Georgia. And I think that's what won them the game, because how many times was Bryce Young getting off those passes with just a half second left, but they gave him enough time to get the ball out, versus you go to the national championship, he has zero time. Looks like DJ Uyunglele in the first game where he's just getting constantly pressure from those inside backers, and all of a sudden that QBR goes way down. So with South Carolina, when you say
it's hit or miss.
You got Spencer Rattler in, you got the tight end as well. Shane Beamer did an unbelievable job in his first season. He got a bowl win in his first season at South Carolina, right? It still comes down to depth of the line of scrimmage, and you're losing your best defensive lineman, and it's going to be hard to replace those guys. They got some 5-stars in there at some skill positions that could be really good in 2022, but I think South Carolina, what's going to come down to is you'll probably see them as a really good first half team, Spencer Rattler, and that's going to keep them in some games. But when it comes to the second half, the better team's just going to lean on them.
Yeah, they're a dark horse. I would still go
They're
Tennessee.
gonna
I
beat
agree with
somebody.
you.
I'll
Oh
mark
yeah,
that down. They're gonna beat somebody they shouldn't beat.
I agree with Tennessee with you though. I think they're the team that scared me kind of last year because they were able to like put up points at a quick and fast pace
Mhm.
too. They're gonna be really good. Like we could see possibly 9, 10 wins this year, depending on how things fall in their place.
If they take
Here's
that next step.
Yeah.
here's what I'll say for Kentucky. They might have the easiest SEC schedule out of anyone. They have to play at Florida, and I think that's week 2 though. So like you're getting Billy Napier in week 2, coming off of playing Utah
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
week
Yeah, sure.
1, right? And
Yep.
then so they go Miami of Ohio at Florida, Youngstown State, Northern Illinois. Really good chance they're 4-0 going into at Ole Miss. Then they have South Carolina hosting Mississippi State, at Tennessee, Missouri, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Louisville.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. The schedule
Like, if
kind
they
of
can-
shapes
if
up for them
they-
a little bit. But
October 29th against Tennessee is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Because if they can beat that, then once again, we're probably talking about Georgia going to Kentucky late November
right.
for the SEC East title.
Yeah. No, that's big. But I think, like you said, that the offensive coordinator change, especially this late in the process, that so like depending on what you do, even if you try and promote from within, that's still not that same guy making
Right.
those plays and that same kind of chemistry that you had with Will Levis last year. So I don't think that hurts you against Youngstown State, right? I don't think that hurts you against South Carolina. Where it hurts you is even if they're up and they start winning, right? They start out the season 7-0, 8-0. When you start getting in those late games, those pressure situations, and those important games, that's when that chemistry comes into play. And you hope they've built a good enough relationship together where they can push through that and maybe come up with some wins in those big games. But we all know too, as playing sports, it's a whole lot different calling plays and having that connection with your coach when it's 42-0
Yeah.
rather than when it's 38-35 and you need a drive with 1 minute left. So, hopefully they can promote from within or grab someone and be able to keep that kind of same continuity on the offense. But I don't know. I think that's going to be difficult to overcome.
Again, reports
We'll
saying Liam Cohen, second year offensive coordinator there for Kentucky, being connected to the offensive coordinator job for the LA Rams. Another guy who is connected to it, former Georgia wide receiver coach, now co-offensive coordinator and wide receiver coach at LSU, Cortez Hankton, was connected to that as well. So we'll have to wait and see, but it looks like it's going to be Liam Cohen there taking over for the Rams. We got to take a quick break. We'll come back, wrap up second down, get you ready for 3 and out next. PJ,
What's going on?
3 straight top 2 finishes on super speedways
Hey,
for Bubba Wallace.
yeah, man.
What's it going to take? What, finish half a car length behind? I know it's an awesome Daytona 500.
No, that was great. That was a wild. I didn't expect it to be as wild as it was. It got single file for a little bit there, but no, it was wild for sure. You had some big wrecks, great pack racing.
How'd
I think
the single lugs go?
you had some broken wheels.
That's not
like
good.
literally some broken wheels yesterday. So they're gonna have to get that stuff figured out. Mechanical issues are going to be a problem for most of this year. But hopefully that steadies out by the end of the year, and we have less mechanical and car issues there in next year.
Again,
So,
PJ
we'll see.
Zuko every Sunday morning on Green, White, and Checkered. You can check him out there. But 3 and Out coming up next. They're going to be joined by the head football coach of the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers.
Hey,
Jamie Chadwell coming up next on 3 and Out. We'll talk to everyone tomorrow.